Yes, hello everyone. Welcome back to WD18, the Watford fan channel. Welcome to another live match preview. It is Coventry City versus Watford at St Andrews, not at the Rico Arena. It is at St Andrews as they move ground. Joined by Sam and Elliot, of course, for these live videos. First off, Elliot, how you doing, mate? Hey, been all right?
Yeah, I've been all right.
Good
Not
man.
been up to much. I don't think anyone's been up to much. But yeah, just
Ticking over. Sam, the same with you?
Yeah, pretty much. Just still trying to get over the other night's result. But yeah, I'm all right, I suppose.
Yeah, good man. I'll tell you what, Elliot, we'll get straight into it. Actually, before I forget, a bit of housekeeping. If you do go on to enjoy the video, guys, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. The numbers have been amazing recently on some of the content we've had. I mean, I think I looked at the analytics, and on the watch along, Sam, there was, I think, over 1,200 live comments. It was ridiculous. And you guys have been getting involved so much. So thank you so much for getting involved. And please do subscribe to the channel. It really does help us out. And leave a like on the video if you enjoy. Right, Elliot, we'll move on to the press conference, Cisco's press conference today. He's come under fire a little bit, I think, in recent days by a number of Watford fans. But what did he have to say in today's presser?
it was a lot of reinforcing what he said after QPR. He continued to take the blame because I think a number of people wanted to clarify some of his comments because I think a couple of them got slightly misconstrued. So he just said, yeah, I take full responsibility. He did say that the players needed to improve. He didn't sort of condemn them. He was quite kind about them and just said that they're improving in training, that they've been looking through all the clips. I asked him about the idea of focusing on moving forward rather than a defeat, and he said that that's exactly what he does. He likes to, on the night, say, right, disappointing, but we'll go again on the weekend, and then in the days going forward, they then look at the videos, they then analyze everything, and I think that's just what they've been doing this week. There's a little bit on injuries. That's all sort of been covered on the club website. Just a little more on Kiko and Messina. They are very unlikely to be playing from what he was saying, but he said we'll see. So there's a small chance we could see him play. And he said with Isaac's success, he needs to be very careful because he's been out a lot. He didn't say as much for Karitsa, but he said because of Isaac's success's long-term injuries, it's probably worth very slowly integrating him back into the fold.
Mm. Yeah, it does. I think the fullback situation was the one that I wanted to be clarified. But if it's unlikely they're going to be playing Sam, I mean, I think we said it on one of the videos, even the match reaction, that it wasn't Ngakia's fault, but he was playing out of position and they did target him. QPR was very clear, particularly in that first half, and then even with Navarro, I think there was quite a lot of criticism for Navarro, Sam. But was it slightly over the top? Or was it justified?
I don't think it was over the top. I think it was justified. I think he was weak. I think that's the best way of saying I thought it was a weak performance from Mark Navarro the other night. I did think at the same time he was a bit of a scapegoat, perhaps because he's only played 5 or 6 games for the club, and in none of them really he's properly impressed. So perhaps he was a bit of a scapegoat, but. It's also just testament to how good Kiko and Messina have been when they've come in this season. But it's just, for me, it's not even Messina. It's just not having that left foot on that left hand side. And we talk about Ngakia kind of thrown into the deep end, so to speak, on that left hand side. So I feel really sorry for him, and I hope. I mean, I thought he was all right, but particularly Navarro, I hope his performances can improve in the coming weeks.
Yeah, he hasn't played a lot of first-team football, Navarro. He played against Manchester United. I thought he struggled, to be honest, and then and even against QPR, I think he struggled again. But it seems like we're going to have to rely on them come the weekend. Just to maybe talk about the fullback situation a little bit more, Elliot. Adam says in the comments, why not Wilmot at left-back and Ngakia right-back if Navarro isn't favoured? Do you think that can be considered, or do you think he's very much set on Navarro at right-back and Ngakia at left-back, do you think?
I think that's an option that can be considered. I think it also depends on opponents, because if you've got a team that's got very attacking fullbacks, that might be good to double up on the defence, because Wilmot is very defensive if you're considering him as a left back. He's actually quite attacking if you consider him as a centre back. And then Ngakia on the right, of course, he's more comfortable there. He's more defensive than someone like Kiko Femenia, probably about the same as Mark Navarro. So yeah, I think it could work. It might be an option. And yeah, Aaron makes a good point about the back three. It's just it's the same problems as we had under Ivic, where we've just got to try and shuffle things about and see what works. He didn't rule out a back three today. It was mentioned in the press conference, and he said he's got an idea of what he wants to do. He didn't outright rule it out, but he didn't obviously confirm it either, as you'd expect. So yeah, that could be an option.
Yeah, suggestion in the chat from Lou Orn saying got to go 3-4-3 and match commentary up. It's an interesting point now. I think with the fullback situation being so weak at the moment, Sam, it does seem that we do need to shuffle the pack a little bit. And as we saw in the reverse fixture, I thought commentary were a decent side. And, we did well. We showed a lot of character to reply and get, I think we won 3-2 in the end, didn't we? But they were a good team. I know Elliot's a massive fan of Hamer in the midfield. What a player, by the way. He's quality. Brilliant. He is quality. And we'll talk about commentary a little bit in a moment, actually, about their strengths. But Sam, is that definitely something you consider? Maybe switch to a back three?
Yeah, I was actually going to say on the previous point, I probably prefer having Wilmot at left back and moving Ngakia over to a stronger side, because I think he's going to be a fantastic player. Jeremy Ngakia, he's by no means the finished product. He's a young guy, but I honestly think he's destined for the top. So it'll be good to see him back on the right hand side. But it really wouldn't surprise me if we see him Cisco move to the back three, perhaps see Kansema at left wing back and bring Ben Wilmot or Craig Cathcart into the back three. So it really wouldn't surprise me if we see kind of a similar setup to what we saw in the early stages of the season. And yeah, again, as I think would match Coventry up and perhaps match hopefully shut down their midfield and Hamer in the middle. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what shape we go with. And it's one of those weeks as well where I think of late, particularly, seeing the lineup's been really anticipated by Watford fans. You're scrolling through an hour before waiting for the team to come through. But
mate, your reply is always the best bit about the lineup.
We love the one of Lee from Arsenal Fans TV. Yeah, he's done it again. No, but I even think this week. I even think this week though, just with all these ideas circulating of Cisco perhaps changing the tactics, I think it's going to be even more anticipated come. We're playing at 12:30, aren't we?
12:30 early kick. Yeah, I have to be honest. When have we ever seen Watford play well on a 12:30 on a Saturday? And I don't want to be negative, right? But I'm going to be honest.
I'll show the other side of that. Whenever we've lost this season, we've in the league at least we've won the next game. So but can I just say as well, because I forgot that it's at St Andrews and not the Rico Arena. If our performance is anything like it was when we played at St Andrews earlier this season against Birmingham, they will turn us over. We can't play like we did against Birmingham. We said it on the live stream actually that while we won that game, it was one of the worst we've played this season. Actually, it was
we were lucky,
dreadful performance that. So it's important. I think that particularly we assert our authority on the game and in the middle. So it's going to be really interesting.
Elliot, you mentioned about the team news the club released, and there's a bit of success and Paritza chat. Do you want to maybe just touch on what the news is with them? Because I think some people are saying let's get Isaac Success back into the lineup straight away. Now I think that's probably unlikely. He'll probably be coming off from the bench. But what is the I've just seen a really good comment actually. What is the situation with the strikers, Elliot, and Paritza and Success for people who don't know?
So the club website put out sort of like an article for the injury news because I don't think it's something that they want to really cover in the press conference because it can be a bit long and a bit, the questions can get a bit samey. So they just release it separately now. I think that's a weekly thing, by the way. So that's quite good. And so Stipe Paritza and Isaac Success are back in training. I think this is a bit of an educated guess. I think Paritza will be back before Isaac Success unless they get injured again. And Isaac Success is obviously recovering from, I don't know exactly what his injury was, but it's a long-term one. And Cisco stressed in his press conference that he's pretty reluctant to drop him straight back into it. Not only has he got to integrate him back in for fitness reasons, but also he's been out of this squad. It's a very different squad to the last time Isaac Success played for Watford. So there's a lot of things that he has to...
When was the last time? Was it under Javi?
It probably was. I can't think of when he played last season. Actually,
sorry,
he might have played one game. I think he played. I think he might have played against Villa last year. Again, when we won 3-0.
Wait, Elliot, if you carry on just on the team news, I'm going to find out where when Isaac Success's last game was.
No, Elliot. Sorry, I just want something to say about Isaac Success. I don't think he will be thrown straight into the deep end. I think we might not even see him start perhaps for another few months yet. But I think to further reinforce that. Obviously, we don't know the extent of Adam Messina's injury, but from the interviews that he was doing and from the way he was playing, he did not seem fully fit. Adam Messina, and perhaps we did rush him back a bit too early. I think he said in a couple of interviews after that, he said, I'm not fully fit yet. And doctors said, I'm not going to be fully fit until February. So hopefully it's not too long. But I think Adam Messina is a prime example of why we can't rush players back.
It felt like we rushed him back. I think I remember the expected return date was either mid-Feb. I think it was mid-Feb for an Achilles injury. And Achilles injury, and we obviously it was a calculated risk by the sounds of it, but it was a risk by any stretch, because I don't think he was playing at 100%, but he still put in some good performances.
The interesting thing was that when he spoke to the press, because that was like he just got to chat to all the press for a bit like Cisco does every week. He had a separate bit, and there was quite a lot of interesting little bits of information. So he was due back end of January, and obviously he came back, I think it was late December or early January. Yeah, it was Boxing Day, of course, because of the tackle. And then he said in the interview, which was about a week later, that he isn't fully fit and that he would be fully fit in mid-February, but they would allow him to come back. So, and then the bit that confused me, and I don't know if this was a translation issue or something like that, but he said it wasn't Achilles and it was higher up on his leg. So I don't know if that was true. I don't know if I completely misinterpreted that or not, but he didn't seem to suggest that it was his Achilles, which was...
I'll be honest, Elliot, though. I think the Messina situation kind of does just really highlight how we needed another left back. I mean, it's just crazy. Even short-term cover. I think I put a tweet out the other day, which is basically, we brought in Rob Elliott when we needed short-term cover. I mean, I think we could have quite. I mean, I don't want to. I mean, Akechiani was on a free agent. I probably would have taken him as cover. So someone, a Papa Suarez, I think is a free agent. Just someone to cover in for a short term. I think with two names, but whether they're good enough, I'm not too sure. But the fact of the matter, well, I think probably Suarez. But the fact of the matter is, we should have brought in a short-term replacement. Just going back onto Coventry, Sam, before we maybe recap on QPR and just discuss that a little bit further. Truce to Kong came out on Hive Live. I think he was probably argue he was definitely at fault for the first one. Second one was a mix-up between him and Wilmot. But he came out and said, and he took responsibility, which I thought was very good for him. It was showed very good leadership in that respect and set a good example as one of the more experienced players in the team. But he said, Sam, that this is basically a season-defining game. Is he right? Is he absolutely right with that?
I think every game at the moment is pretty much season-defining. I think it's countless amount of times now this season where we've come on here and said that this is an absolute must-win. And I think Saturday, even more so than QPR, is absolutely huge, because first of all, I think we're going to see what this Watford side are made of in terms of them, how they bounce back from defeat, and not just that, whether the performances really are going to change. Because for me, I will still be concerned if we win 1-0 thanks to a Deeney penalty and the performance is dreadful. I'll still be concerned, but I think it's going to be really important for us to see a performance, and whether it's season defining is a big stretch. And I think the top two pretty much are going to start pulling away now anyway. But we need to just cement ourselves in the playoffs now. And, a win on Saturday will go a long way in doing that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think particularly after the QPR game, Elliot, we were all really deflated, weren't we, on that match reaction? It was quite a difficult one to do because you don't want to overreact, but I think certainly the pressure is now really on for Coventry to put in a performance, because that was just below par, but I think completely from Watford. QPR were just the better team, I thought. Even after the goal went in, there was no real reaction. And we said it all on the match reaction. If you want to go and hear our in-depth thoughts, then make sure you do. But for you, Elliot, do you agree with Truce to Kong? It's season-defining, this one? Is this the moment where we find out really if Watford have got a chance of going up or not?
Yeah, and the fact that it's away from home makes it even more interesting, because I think after the Stoke game, we were happy enough with the result, and we thought, right, the game against Millwall will prove whether that was a fluke or whether our away form is fixed. Then the jury was out after the Millwall game as well, because it was pretty average. So this is sort of the point where we can see, right, can we go 3 games unbeaten away from home, which is something we haven't done in God knows how long. And can we go 3 games unbeaten? Can we look good away from home? And can we play against a team that play quite similarly to QPR, are in 18th, which is exactly where QPR were before we played them, and basically right the wrongs of Monday? So it's a huge game, absolutely huge. How
do we right the wrongs, Elliot? Just to further expand on that, is that a tactical approach, or is it just the intensity wasn't there from minute one, really? I think we know as Watford fans when Watford aren't on it, and it was pretty clear early on in QPR. I think me and Sam, when we were watching it, we were just like, this is quite concerning that QPR have come out of the blocks quickly, or we've just come out of the blocks so slowly. But is it an intensity thing for you? Is it a work rate? Is it the tactical approach? What needs to change for you going into Coventry?
There were quite a lot of things from that game. It was the way we started. We were already on the back foot at minute 1. QPR were pressing us fantastically. They beat us in the midfield, and tactically it wasn't right. We've discussed Will Hughes at left mid to death at this point. We've discussed the fullback problems that we had, and not dealing with someone like Todd Kane, who just very cleverly thought, right, okay, I'm just going to run down the right hand side and catch out Ngakia in an unfamiliar position, or perhaps uncomfortable position. Yeah. So there were quite a lot of things that were quite easy to notice after the game that we just shouldn't do. So hopefully they've been easy to notice by everyone at the club, and they can be fixed, because I think it's just little changes, like put a left winger at left wing or left midfield or whatever. Yeah. And, help Ngakia if he's playing at left back, give him more defensive support, stop the fullbacks running up so far, and just deal with the aerial threat of someone like Charlie Austin. I don't know if necessarily Coventry will have that same sort of approach, but just deal with them basically, and do your research on how they play, because we didn't really do our research on how QPR played.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point about I think we all know Will Hughes should not be playing at left midfield. Now, the argument is, I think Cisco's thinking for the Stoke game, we were away from home. It's a difficult away game. Was it Adam Messina on the left-hand side, a little bit more protection, or Tom Cleverley was on the right protecting Kiko a little bit. I understand that, tucking in a bit more. And to an extent, it worked. Not the first half, second half, it probably did slightly, but we did improve when Zinkernagel came on the pitch. But Sam, for me, the fact he continued that for QPR was just a massive, massive black mark, I think, next to Cisco, really, because it was just bizarre. And I think it's almost like we'll know from the lineup on Saturday if he's learned from it, won't we? And we'll learn from we'll learn from the lineup what performance we're going to see, because I think we've seen so many of the same performances this season with so many of the similar lineups. But if he could get it right, then we might see a change. Is it as simple as that for you?
I wouldn't say it's as simple as that. I mean, I said already, I think it's going to be massive anticipation come 11:30 a.m. on Saturday to see what the lineup actually is. I think it will really set the tone for the game. I don't think the players will be happy if we set up the same, seeing Will Hughes on the left, or, I'll bring back the phrase square pegs and round holes. I don't think players will be happy with that. But for me, I think, we can completely, put tactics aside, because something that I've noticed, particularly against kind of, I don't want to say the worst teams in the league, but the teams down at the bottom, we just make them look better than they are. Wickham, I look at, we drew 0-0 there. Who else? That QPR. I can't think off the top of my head, but it's just something basic, which is desire. And they turn up to our place, or we go there, and they just bully us off the pitch, because they say, we know what we're going to do, and if you're not up for the fight, then then we'll take the points. And that's what seems to happen every single time we play against those teams down at the bottom. So before we even consider looking at lineups or tactics, I think Cisco really has to drill into them that this Coventry team will be smelling blood in this Watford side. I think that's completely fair to say, that they're going to see this is a chance that they can pick up a point or 3 points. So it's going to be really important for Cisco to set out the foundations that this team needs to be hungry to get the 3 points.
One point that was really interesting, actually, from you, Sam, after the QPR game, was you mentioned the lack of effort, and I think for me that was a massive concern. I think it was a lot of concerns with the QPR game, but for me, when you're questioning the lack of work rate, the lack of intensity, the lack of effort, you've got huge problems. And the fact we're 27 games in now, we're actually very close to getting into the automatic spots, considering how poor we've been this season. Surely, I can't put my finger on why there's a lack of intensity with the way of playing. Why? Can you explain it?
I've got no. To be honest with you, I've got no idea about this season. It's so weird. I don't know how we are. Let's be honest. Our league position completely flatters us, because I said to you the other day on the match reaction, I think I said to both of you, how many good performances can you think of this year? And it took you a good 30 seconds to actually think of one, and it doesn't stand out to you. I can't think of what it is, but it just seems that there's a lack of application. Players aren't happy, a lack of preparation from the management, as Elliot was talking about earlier when we didn't research QPR. a confidence problem when we get hit or something physically, and players just don't really get back up and kind of get back into the swing of things. So there's so many things, but for me, it's the desire and the fight that's been missing all season in my eyes, because this team on paper should be walking the league. Well, we said that at the start of the season.
But are they that good, Sam? Are they that good?
But I don't think they're as good as we all think, and maybe not walk the league, maybe not exaggerating, but I reckon they should be getting automatic promotion, or at least putting in better performances than we have this season and be higher up the table. And for me, it's not all about the tactics and whether a player wants to be here or not. It's just about the hunger and the desire that's been missing all season, and that's what's missing. Yeah,
there's been something missing all season, Elliot, in all honesty. Aaron said, I said it to you a few days ago, Jacob, under Cisco, it's very similar to Kike 15-16. I mean, the setup is very similar in the 4-4-2 the system. The only difference is back then we had a goal scorer. For you, Elliot, the Zinkernagel situation, I think it's got to be rectified on Saturday, hasn't it? I think he's got to start, surely. It's time for PZ7. I think I've seen all the comments in the chat. Caroline was kicking off with PZ7 must start on Saturday. Absolutely with you, says Charlotte. PZ7's got to start. He needs to start for a change. I think the consensus that he's got to start. Elliot, you in agreement with that, or you've got a different take on it?
We've been saying it for weeks and weeks and weeks. I'm trying to think when was the first time we sort of recognised that it was ridiculous that he's not been starting.
Yeah,
he has to start. Surely.
Yeah, I can't.
I can't see him not starting, but then I couldn't see him not starting on Monday, and I couldn't see him not starting the week before. So, yeah.
Was there a mention from Cisco in the press conference about Zinkernagel?
Nothing today. I think so. I asked him that last week, and he said that he is just integrating him, and I think he said step by step, game by game, which makes sense. But how long do you want to integrate him? The season is long, but it's not that long, and he just needs to start now. And I would get it if it was because Sema was playing really well, but Sema's been in and out of the lineup for various issues, so it's not really because of that. It's not a competitivity thing with a really good left midfielder. The fact is, we've been playing a centre midfielder at left mid, so he just needs to go there. He needs to start there on Saturday, whether it's a 4-3-3, a 4-4-2, a 4-5-1, whatever. Yeah, he just needs to start.
Elliot, Cisco's mentioned this new system that he's going to try. Do you think that he's now recognised? Well, obviously you don't speak to him on a regular basis. You see him at the press conferences, but do you think the QPR game is the catalyst for him to really just shake up this team? Because from the team I saw against QPR, if that team goes out again, I wouldn't be confident that we'd get all 3 points. So is it almost that he's got to change the formation? Is it just personnel? What do you think the new system for you? What does this new system need to include? It's probably a better question.
So if I was in charge, I would go for. It's difficult because if you switch everything and go to a 3 at the back, then you've got to then reincorporate Adam Messina and Kiko Femenia when it comes back, and they could adapt to that. Kiko could play at right wing back, and Adam Messina could play at centre back. Adam Messina actually said that he was being prepared to play centre back, and he said to both Ivic and Cisco when he came in that he's more than happy to play at centre back. So that could work in the long term. I don't think 4 at the back is absolutely sort of dreadful. I think we should. I don't see anything wrong with sticking with it. It's just 4-4-2 is quite negative at the moment. It's a little bit depressing to watch at times, and maybe we should switch things up. But then it's difficult with a 4-3-3 because where do you put Dini in there? If Dini does start, does Dini start at all? Does João Pedro start? It's very difficult. But if it was up to me, I think I would go with the 3 at the back for this week and see how it goes. I'd hate to use a game as big as this as a trial run, but I feel like we kind of have to if we're doing a new system. Yeah,
we've kind of backed ourselves into a corner a little bit, Sam. I think for me, the system at the moment, I think Sam's hit Aaron hit the nail on the head in the comments about it being very similar to the Kike 15-16 in the way we're setting up the 4-4-2, very compact. For example, Hughes is the equivalent to Abdi playing out wide in that system. So there's similarities there. But for me, the reason we were playing it in the Premier League was because we didn't have the quality compared to the other teams. When you're in the Championship, we've got more quality than QPR, in my opinion. We've got more quality than the likes of Wickham, the teams you mentioned, Sam. So we need to get on the front foot, and you cannot do that in the formation we're doing at the moment, the way we're setting up. So surely Cisco now has to go, just scrap the 4-4-2 that we're playing with and go for a positive 4-3-3 or a 3-4-3, a 3-5-2, something just to change it up, surely.
Yeah, he has to. He has to change the team. And I was just thinking about this as well. That I mean, Adam Leventhal mentioned it on the latest From the Rookery End podcast as well. That if we don't see a significant change on Saturday, then I fear for Cisco. I really do, because I feel like this game is so big on Saturday now after that defeat against QPR, as every game is now. But it's the fact that we want to see. We're appreciating that Cisco's a learning manager and he's tactically naive in some areas, as we all saw on Tuesday night. And it's about knowing whether his experiences learning and changing things are going to bring us forward to the next level, because no one's going to be complaining if he changes it on Saturday and we blow Coventry off the park, as we really should be doing on paper. That's no disrespect to Coventry, just the quality and the cost of the two sides, but it's so important just for our season in general and for the morale of the whole fan base and the team that we do see a change from kind of the boring 4-4-2, I think is the best way to say.
Yeah, I think it will be really interesting to see what happens on Saturday. And I think certainly the pressure does build on Cisco if we lose to Coventry. But, we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. It's a massive game on Saturday, really, really big against Coventry. Funnily enough, I was just looking at the record for Coventry this season, and the 3-2 defeat after that game, they went on an unbeaten run of 8 games. 8 games unbeaten, so we always kick-started a good run for them. So I'm hoping it's not the same.
Was it Coventry? Was it Coventry when Foster got lobbed with the header?
Yeah.
I remember it was Coventry.
I was at that one. It was that was. I think that was the first one I went to.
That was bizarre.
It was
really weird.
Really fun game, but also. And I got to see Gustavo Hamer in person.
You've got a crush on him, haven't you, Elliot?
I really do. He's just such a good player. I love him at Watford. Just even if he doesn't fit any system that we've got, just stick him in there and let him pick up yellow cards and let him create chances. Oh, he's a great player.
Love that. I'll tell you what, Elliot, just you've got a bit of an affection for Hamer. Is there any other players? Actually, a bigger question, who do we need to look out for, and how do you think Coventry will approach this game with Mark Robins? Is it going to be the same as the 3-2 away defeat? Well, they actually played pretty well. I thought they grew into the game in the second half. They were a bit more positive. They were quite a physical team, I thought. They had pace in the fullbacks. But for you, how do you think they're going to approach the game, and who do we need to look out for?
It's a weird one, because if you look solely at the 3-2, then you'd say that they play quite attacking football and that they're going to try and hit us on the counter all the time. But if you look at their record generally, it's not too similar from QPR's. They play quite defensive football. They don't score many. So
don't say that, Elliot.
And it's so difficult to know what they're going to do. Obviously, Hamer is the standout one for me, but to be honest, I think they had Giles has gone back to Wolves. He was a very good player. I was really impressed with him in the reverse fixture. So it will definitely be a difficult game. And the fact that it's away doesn't make life any easier. We have won at Birmingham already this season, at St Andrews already this season. And regardless of the circumstances, that might be a mental boost just to know that we've got points from there already this season. I think it'll be a very difficult game, and we can't take any points for granted, because I think we did a bit against QPR and we paid the price for it.
Yeah, I think you mentioned Hamer in the middle, Elliot. They set up with a 4-3-3 against Nottingham Forest, so it is quite offensive. There was a couple of players I remember for the Coventry game that we need to, the Coventry win that we need to look out for. I thought Callum O'Hare had a pretty good game, if I can remember correctly. Yeah. And is it Biamu up front, the number 9, the striker? He's a real handful. So certainly those two attackers we need to look out for. Obviously, Hamer's the standout, and I quite like the look of. I think it's McCallum, who's on loan from Norwich. He's gone back to Coventry, and he's a good player as well at fullback. So they've got some really, really tricky players looking ahead to that one. As O'Hare is a good player. I like him as well. I'll tell you what, we'll move on to some of your questions, guys. And we put a tweet out on WD18 at WD18 fans to get your comments in, looking ahead. And we want to include this section to get you involved as much as possible. So, Caroline's very quick. Will there be a goal from open play on Saturday, Sam?
I hope so, with this change of system that Cisco's talking about. But, it's really difficult to say, because I don't want to keep on bringing it back to recruitment now, because the window's shut and nothing's going to happen now. But I really hope, for the sake of particularly Andre, if he plays, or Zhao, who's going on a bit of a drought at the moment. I hope for their sake that actually Zhao only scored a couple of games ago, didn't he? I think he scored in the Huddersfield game.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. So many games. I apologise.
Yeah, exactly. No, just I feel like it's so important just for our strikers in general now, just to get a couple from open play and go from there, because as Andre Gray or Cisco said, that when Andre Gray gets one, he'll get plenty. So hopefully for his sake we see him bag a couple from open play. But whether I can see it happening, I doubt it. Haven't really seen much to suggest that we will.
Yeah, well, there's a few comments on Twitter. If you want to get involved, guys, just leave in the live chat any questions you have for Sam and Elliot as we look ahead to Coventry on Saturday. We've got one here, Elliot, which is, if you could give your ideal starting lineup formation for the rest of the season, that'd be interesting. I think we can maybe do that on a separate video. But for Coventry, what are the changes you'd make to the team? Is probably, if we want to just focus on the Coventry game on Saturday.
See, fullbacks is where the difficulty is, because we've not really got a lot. So I would probably switch it to a 3 at the back, because I think that's just the most appropriate option for the players we have. I'd go Backman in goal. I'd have Backman for the rest of the season for what it's worth, regardless of Foster. Yeah. Although I don't think Foster was awful, but back 3, I'd go Wilmot, Sierralta, Troost-Ekong. I think Troost-Ekong is motivated to make amends, because although he wasn't bad on Monday, he did make an error and he acknowledged that. So I'd like to see him make amends and maybe recover from that mistake.
I really want Wilmot back in there as well.
Yeah, I agree.
I think Wilmot, yeah.
And I think he deserves a shot as well. I'd go Sema left wing back, Ngakia right wing back, Hughes and Chalobah.
Yeah.
Maybe Chalobah.
Gosling's still unavailable, isn't he? He's not fit at the moment.
I would go. I think we have to go Zinkernagel on the left, Sarr on the right, João Pedro up top.
Yeah, I think that's, you've got to be positive, haven't you? You've got to be positive. But whether we actually see that team, I'm not too sure. In all honesty, Elliot.
Up front.
Yeah. I tell you what, Sam, I'll fire over the next question to you, and that is, if I can just get it up here. Give me 2 seconds. The next question is, do we try to get a partnership going between Troy and one of our other strikers, or do you drop him?
That's really difficult. I don't think it will work. I don't think Troy and Andre works. We've seen. I don't think Troy and Zhao work either. I thought they both worked extremely hard last night, and I thought I saw a lot of people scapegoating them. I didn't really think they could do much. They didn't get any service. We didn't really create much from open play. But I don't think they worked just simply because they both dropped so deep. So I thought Troy and Stipe did okay a couple of times when they played. Perhaps Troy and Isaac as well. It's really interesting because I don't really know, because I think when Stipe and Isaac are fully fit, I think they offer us something completely different to what we've got already. So whether perhaps you try them together or try one of them up front by themselves, I think it'll be really interesting. So ask me in about a month's time when we hopefully have seen Stipe and Isaac, and I'll be able to answer for you.
I'm just going to screenshot that and then just put it in the archives and dig it out in about a month or so. Okay, next question to you, Elliot, is which one of the underperformers, this is from Blanco Watford FC, is most likely to step up? I have high hopes for success, is what he says. So underperformers, so maybe someone who hasn't hit the heights this season. Is there someone you think that can maybe come in and do it? Now, I think probably the obvious one that hasn't played a lot is Success, which he says, but is there anyone else maybe you think?
Underperformers is a difficult one, because I think there are players that perhaps haven't performed to their absolute best.
Yeah,
but haven't. So, I think Ismail Assar has a lot more to offer. I think he's been pretty good by all accounts, but I think he can give more. So, if I was being very diplomatic, I'd say Ismail Assar. I think Andre Gray, there is potential there. We've seen he's had a couple of games where he's, made some good runs and he's got in scoring positions. He's just not got the finish at the end of it. So, yeah, Gray or Sarr, but that's no slight on Sarr, because I think he's been actually pretty good.
I would have gone with Messina, actually. Just I know he's not, because I know he might be out for a couple of weeks now, but Messina, hopefully, because he was still getting fully up to speed, so he perhaps wasn't performing to his best. But when he was at his best, I had really high hopes for him.
I really hope he's not out for long, Messina.
Yeah.
I'm worried that he's rushed. We've rushed him back because we didn't have a left back, and he's going to be out for a considerable amount of time. That's the only thing.
Cisco did say it was minor again, so like it
Minor,
was
okay.
minor in the article, and then he said again in the press conference that it was minor. But Stipe,
But I just don't want it to be one of those like niggly injuries, that just keep coming back. And
we saw with Will Hughes at the start of the season. It just seems to be injury after injury. So
those little minor ones, they might not be like the worst injuries, but it's the ones that keep coming back up, and they're just like you're not playing at 100%. So fingers crossed that Messina can come back anyway. Next question is, what is the best solution for our strikers to get goals, Sam? Who would you play up top? Obviously, it depends on the system. But for you, the ideal system and the ideal strikers.
Yeah, again, I think it's so difficult because I think, as I said already, I think Isaac and Stipe will offer us something completely different, and it'll be really interesting to see how they do. I want to give Paritza another chance. I think that's the priority for me. I thought he looked really good in the cameos he has. I think he's only played about 10 times overall for us, but particularly in that Bournemouth game where he scored, that's movement we haven't seen from a striker or a properly central striker for us that we haven't seen in a long time. So it was actually really similar to, I don't know if you saw Ivan Toney's goal for Brentford the other day, where he made that run to the front post. Great movement. Yeah, fantastic. And Paritza's the closest striker we've got that we've seen of late that's got that movement. Isaac's success, to be honest with you, I've forgotten pretty much about him. We've said already, we haven't seen him in about 2 years. So I really hope he does well. But for me, I'd say the one up front with Stipe Paritza.
Yeah, I think Paritza's definitely got the best movement out of all the strikers at the club, in my opinion. Let us know what you think of that statement in the comments. I'll tell you what, we'll wrap it up with a bit of thank you to everyone who sent us a question on Twitter. Make sure you follow us at WD18fans. We'll wrap it up with a bit of transfer talk, probably the last bit of transfer talk for a few months now. Domingos Quina was officially unveiled as a Granada player on loan, and we didn't actually get to talk about it on the last transfer video because it kind of happened all really quickly. But for you, Elliot, is this, despite him wanting to get game time and the fact we can't, is it a bit concerning the fact we couldn't give him game time? Because surely we could fit him in because we've been lacking so much creativity in the final third. And you feel like Quina is that sort of player who can link the midfield with the attack. But it's probably the right move for him if he's not going to get game time. But isn't the bigger thing that we're not giving him game time?
Yeah, we should be giving him game time, even if it's off the bench. And it's weird that it's not been a week since Queen has left, and we're changing the system. So perhaps he would have fit into that system. So it's not necessarily an argument of he wouldn't fit into a 4-4-2. And even if he didn't fit into a 4-4-2, I think he's quite a good option to bring off the bench. I highly doubt he starts at Granada.
They sent him from the league or something? Is it in Europa League?
They're still in European football. So perhaps that's maybe a rotation option. Maybe that's why it's going to hurt to see him and Luis Suarez together because they're the ones that got away at this point. And if he's getting game time at Granada, he should get game time at Watford. It's pretty simple. Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. Sam, for you, was that a weird one, or do you understand it?
Yeah, it was really strange. To be honest with you, I haven't really taken it in because, as you said, it all happened so fast. Like, I think it was Adam Leventhal broke the news, and within 20 minutes or something, Watford had said that he was off already. So it was really surprising, and it's a shame for Quina because I don't think when he did play this season, he performed perhaps to the standards that we all thought he could perform at, particularly under Javi. I thought he was brilliant in his cameos, but so it's disappointing with that. But I mean, hopefully it's nothing more than him wanting game time rather than anything else, like being unhappy at the club or wanting to go abroad. So I hope it will work out to be a good move, but really surprising. And he's the sort of player on form who we've been crying out for this season.
And just rating the transfer window out of 10, guys. We did put a post out about it. That is a tough question. I don't think it'll be very high, but just talk about incomings. Dan Gosling, Rob Elliott, and Philip Zinkernagel came in, and then Etienne Gapoux, Gerard Delafave, Domingos Quina went out on loan, Glenn Murray, and then James Garner. So, out of 10, Elliott, what would you rate Watford's transfer business in January?
I'd give it a 4, more because of the people that didn't come in, rather than the people, because I'm not unhappy with the 3 that we got in, and I think the ones that left were fairly inevitable, bar Quina. So it's more for what we didn't do that makes it a 4, not what we did do.
Sam?
Yeah, I think I echo what Elliot said just about the lack of people coming in. I'm going to give it a 3 instead of a 4, simply because, first of all, I think not bringing in a striker or a backup left back, I think really could cost us in the long run this season. I think it's something we could be looking back on in May and thinking, why didn't we do that? And also, I think Dan Gosling's a really good bit of business, but 3-year deal's a bit excessive, don't you think?
Like, yeah, considering he's just turned 31 as well.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing against Dan Gosling. I think it's a really good bit of business. Reminds me of when we signed Ben Watson. So I'll give it a 3. I think
3 and 4.
One for each of the signings. I'll give
3 and a 4, 7 divided by 2. So the average WD18 rating for the transfer window is 3.5. So let us know what would you rate the transfer window out of 10. And that is probably the last transfer video we'll be doing for a while. But thank you to everyone who watched tonight. We really do appreciate it. Coventry City on Saturday at St Andrews, a real big game for Watford. Season-defining game, as many have described it. But make sure you check out all of our content on Saturday. For that one, we'll have a match reaction. I don't think we're going to have a watch-along for that one, unfortunately. Just can't do it for Saturday. But we should be back for a match reaction. We will be back for a match reaction after the Coventry game, and fingers crossed after a Watford win. Please do leave a like on the video if you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe to WD18. Comment down below your score predictions. Did we do score predictions, actually? We didn't do score predictions. Sam, quickfire.
1-0 Watford.
Elliot.
2-1 Watford.
I'm going to go for a 2-1 Watford as well. Let us know your score prediction in the comment section below. We'll see you very soon. Take care of yourselves, guys, and thank you very much for watching.